Welcome to Star Wars Action News, helping Star Wars collectors collect better.
And that gets to really our celebration tips that people have requested. And for long-time listeners, you may have heard some of these before. We did this before the last U.S. celebration. We were at Indiana Comic-Con with Daryl and several other people and roundtabled some tips. Andrew was there, I believe. And yet, technology changes, life changes, and so we have some new ones this time. But my number one tip to anyone going to a celebration, whether this is your first convention or your 50th, time management, looking at the schedules. It is sometimes really numbing to have to look at all the various schedules because there's so much going on. The collecting track, the main floor, all the different rooms that have all the different panels, and you may be interested in some and not in others. But knowing what you want to do and understanding you'll never be able to do it all. The point of a convention isn't like a college class where you have to take your core curriculum in order to graduate, and so they're going to offer it 3 or 4 times. There's going to be panels like the opening ceremony that are only going to happen once, and there's going to be a huge demand for that. So not only budgeting the time to be in the panel, budgeting the time to get in the panel.
Yeah, that's the main thing is when it comes out, I would start prioritizing. What are your must-dos? If you have 2 must-dos that conflict, there's no magic to that, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to pick which one you want to do. I would also have a backup plan because it doesn't really happen at Celebration that often, but occasionally rooms do get capped and you can wait in line for something that was like number 1 on your list and not get into the room. So it's always good to have something else that you wanted to do during that time if you fall through in your first plan.
Yeah, I remember Celebration 2, the one thing we didn't get to do, Star Wars in 30 minutes. And we waited in line and waited in line, and we missed one, and we waited in line for the next one, and we were the first people turned away for the last event of that at the last time. So
Didn't we have to go see it in Chicago when he was touring?
That was the one-man Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Which we went to Chicago to see specifically because we knew he was going to be at Celebration. We also knew time at Celebration is so valuable that we went to Chicago to see him not in Celebration, so we didn't have that as a must-do at Celebration that might get turned away.
And it was a little bit of a longer show, and I think it was well worth the trip. He was really funny.
Yeah, they don't do things like that since Reed took over. They don't have performances type stuff.
I miss that stuff. I really liked that stuff a lot. Remember when Celebration 3 and then the Rick McCallum's spectacular thing, and you go and it was literally the room was standing only, and they'd shuttle you in. It was kind of like a Disney ride. You go in, you'd stand, see some footage from the movie, everybody go, oh my God, and then they funnel you out and bring the next group in.
And technology has changed. They don't do that anymore. They're going to show footage. I guarantee it. We're going to see some kind of reel in the opening ceremony this time. And they're going to put as many people in the opening ceremony as possible. And that's the panel that's going to have Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson. You know they're going to tease us probably with like a behind-the-scenes reel for Episode 8. And probably, at this point, I'm going to say the first trailer.
Yeah, I'd have to think that at least.
It would probably be smart that they would attach it to Guardians of the Galaxy coming out a couple weeks after, because Disney owns both properties. Guardians is going to be huge. You get the eyeballs on it. But at Celebration 2 and 3, the internet wasn't the video thing it is now. So yeah, Rick McCallum would show us the video and then let in another group to see it. Now, they'll show it to us once and then they'll put some of it or all of it online. At least the trailers they'll put online. They may show us something they don't put online. They did that at the last one. But
I kind of miss the experience, though.
I'll agree with that, yeah. But there's so much to experience that it's kind of good you can do some things online and figure out what you have to do at the convention. And I'd say that goes for money too. What do you have to buy at the convention? I feel like Dinosaur Jr. from the 90s. I feel the pain because this is an expensive trip already and we haven't gone yet.
My bags aren't even packed.
And I talked about the great exclusives. There's always a question over what is important to buy at Celebration. And these days, I don't know that there's anything that you can't eventually buy online. It just may cost more. And so I think a lot of the fun shopping at general vendor booths that you had at Celebration 2 and 3 and 4, I think a lot of people didn't spend their money there because there were so many exclusives. There's the Celebration store. And so when you're going through the floor, really think about what you have to buy there and what you may want to look cheaper. If it's an exclusive, you certainly want to grab it.
Keep in mind, there's probably not going to be too many bargains for stuff because if you think about it, you've got a captive audience. So usually what I do is I'll take a tour of the floor a few times, and every once in a while I'll find like an impulse item that I'm like, oh my god, I've been looking at that for so long, I have to have that. And I'll buy it just because I know it's hard to find. But typically I'll just kind of meander a few times, make a shopping list in my head, and then go back and get the stuff maybe the last day or something.
Yeah, and sometimes they're more willing to haggle on Sundays, something to keep in mind, because when the vendors, and this is not the case at like Kotobukiya, this is the case at Jim's comic shop that's brought some Power of the Force 2 figures that he wants to unload, or maybe has some hot toys or some statues and things. Those are the vendors that would deal. And then, of course, there's always getting it home, too. You have to ship it, assuming it's not something you can just add to carry-on luggage. So keep about that. And with the Kotobukiya exclusives, look at what you can order online. I've ordered those online already because that's one less line I have to stand in. Yeah, I paid for shipping to be delivered to my house, but if I went to Orlando, I'd have to stand in line to buy them, carry them through the con, then pack them up and ship them home from Orlando. There's a convenience factor and a time-saving factor in placing that order online.
I really hope they do it again, but they had a FedEx room and FedEx people at the con where you could go and they would ship your stuff for you. They'd pack it up for you and you could just give them your account number. You could just pay and it'd be so easy.
And expensive. There's usually a $10 per box convention center surcharge. And then they mark up the price of the boxes and everything else about 100% above what you'd pay at a regular FedEx.
Honestly, my practice is burn the hand. If I'm there, I'd rather pay a little more to know it gets shipped rather than drive all over Orlando looking for someplace to ship.
Speaking of exorbitant convention fees, this is a huge tip that I have. Bring cash, bring lots of it. Don't count on ATMs at the convention center because if they have cash left in them, I think muggers have taken less from me than certain convention center ATMs. I feel lucky I do have one of those bank accounts that will refund ATM fees, but I have to think my bank is like, wait, what ATM was this that I'm refunding all of these fees? Also, the convention center ATMs often have lower limits than you want. And I think they do that because I have to put my card in 4 or 5 times and then they charge 4 or 5 fees.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Everything in a convention center is exorbitantly priced, including drinks. Get yourself bottles of water. Stay hydrated and don't pay them $5 for a bottle of water.
Honestly, we usually run to Walmart or Walgreens and buy a case or 2 of water, keep in our hotel room, and then I take a few with me each day because I can buy half a case of water for what it costs for one at the convention center. I also pack trail mix, granola bars. If I can get fruit, I will pack some fruit for us just for little snacks.
Not bananas because those smush in bags.
And they're disgusting. Bananas are gross. That's why you don't get bananas, kids. But just like little things you can munch, something single serve, and you're still going to pay less at Walgreens than you are at the convention. You're going to have to eat lunch there probably. You can make sandwiches. We've done that before too, just because you get tired of the convention food. And we're stuck there all day, every day for like a week. There's only so many times you can have a pretzel dog because it's not the San Diego Comic-Con pretzel dogs.
And that kind of leads to also, you need a good bag that you can carry stuff in. It is such a stereotype, but it is so true. Everybody at a convention pretty much is carrying a large bag because when you buy something, where are you going to put it? If you have a book you want autographed, how are you going to carry it? If you have bottles of water and granola bars, what are you going to carry it in? A good, durable backpack, but not a huge one and not a solid one that's not going to compress. Be kind to those around you and not clock them in the face with your backpack.
Do you know how many times that's happened to me? Because I'm not a tall person, and you've even done it to me, and I think it's because you're more aware of other people sometimes maybe than me. Or you turn around to talk to me, whack, right in the face.
I have been at San Diego one time where I literally saw something out of like a Groucho Marx movie where somebody was turning and somebody had to like duck under the bag and then stand back up and like act like nothing happened. It was really an amusing sight. But this is why I advocate backpacks that are soft versus something else like briefcases. Most conventions don't allow rolly carts, suitcases, things like that. Even the single-arm sling bags and messenger bags aren't always the greatest thing.
Now, see, I love my sling bag that I've got for my camera because my camera is accessible and it's close to my body versus having to take off my backpack, get out my camera. And it also doubles as a purse and it's kind of incognito because it doesn't look like a camera bag. Also,
keep in mind of bringing maybe some manila envelopes or some hard protectors for comic books, or if you're getting an 8x10 signed autograph, they sell protectors where you can buy one of those to make sure it doesn't get bent. But having a bag that has a laptop area or something that's usually pretty flat and has a slightly rigid surface, usually what goes against your back, will help protect those and not let them get all crumpled.
I highly suggest if you're going to have more than one print of like the same size, like if you're getting 8x10s for celebrities or maybe, art prints or something, the company that makes the art books, like you see the artists have on their table, they make those in all different sizes, and I highly recommend getting one. They all fit pretty well in a backpack. The 11x17 just kind of barely fits. You can kind of zip it up and kind of keep it secure, but it is fantastic because your prints are protected. I highly recommend those. I carry those around all the time at conventions.
Itoya is the name of the company that makes the really good ones, and they have every size from postcard to poster. And a lot of times what I'll do is with some of the bigger ones, because posters are pretty common. You want to probably take a poster tube, but you can also take one of these larger books to keep back in the room. So every night you can unload your poster tube into the book, and then it goes into your suitcase. Hopefully you're not getting any 36x48 posters, in which case then, just keep it in the poster tube and ship it home.
Mm-hmm.
But when prepping, one of the big things that I think in 12 years of hardcore convention going, the thing that I have learned most is take care of your feet.
I really can second that because your feet are holding you up. You're walking on your feet. If your feet are not happy, you're not going to be happy.
I have an Apple Watch. It tells me how many miles I walk during San Diego Comic-Con and during celebrations, and 20 to 30 miles on a couple days is not an unusual amount. I usually post it to Facebook, and my friends are all like, oh my god, what did you do? Well, I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and Hall A to Hall H is a hall. So I recently went to Scheels, which is a sporting goods store that's a chain. It's pretty big. And I talked to somebody there, and they changed my life by actually measuring my foot, looking at it, and recommending, first of all, I got a pair of hiking boots that are intended for people who are just going to be walking for miles and miles and miles. Obviously, if you're at a convention, you're not on rough terrain, but if you can hike a trail for 40 miles in these boots, they're going to help you at the convention. And I try to take 2 pairs so that I have different pressure points. I also found some good runner's shoes that I explained what I was doing, and I'm standing a lot, and they're like, these are really well cushioned, they're for runners, they're going to help alleviate some of the pressure when you are just standing on an unforgiving surface for a long period of time, or walking on it, because this is for runners who are going to run on cement and do a marathon and what have you. And the other thing, and this is a slogan that I've taken to heart, cotton is rotten.
Yes.
Sorry for any of our listeners in the textile industries, but it turns out cotton socks have been the bane of my existence for a decade.
Yeah, we switched to the smart wool socks at the recommendation of these shoe people at Scheels. And when you went to Comic-Con last year, you did not get a single blister, did you?
No, and if you don't know what smart wool is, because I was not believing him. I'm like, wool? I don't want to wear wool in San Diego in July. Are you crazy? But no, it's smart wool, and it's smarter than some government officials because it knows when your feet are hot and it vents, and it knows when your feet are cold and it keeps the heat in. So even though I'm wearing technically smart wool socks, at no point am I feeling like my feet are warm. I'm not going back to the room at night and like wringing them out from all the sweat because they were wool. No, and they just help prevent blisters. And I got those for both the tennis shoes as well as some bigger ones for the boots and that kind of thing. Apparently, cotton socks are one of the biggest causes for blisters and wear spots and just things like that. And of course, break the shoes in, test the socks out ahead of time. When I bought those, I tested them at the Comic-Con in Philadelphia because I felt that was low risk. You know,
you stood on a cement floor for 8 hours, though, unfortunately, so I could get Chris Evans' autograph again.
But it was Philadelphia, and it was like a 2-day convention, and if I'd had an allergic reaction to the smart wool or something, I would know ahead of time. But breaking them in, they really changed my life at San Diego last year.
They're absolutely amazing, and they last forever. We still have the pairs we bought almost a year ago. They're really easy to take care of. You just wash them, no fabric softener, and you air dry them. I throw them in the dryer on the no heat setting and just let them tumble. They're fantastic. I cannot recommend these enough.
So yeah, I say if you spend money on a statue, spend some money on your feet.
Well, honestly, let's think about it though. You walk every single day just about, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think most people do.
Well, be kind to your feet. If you're going to walk ever, you run, walk for exercise, go talk to somebody at a local store. It's really worth it to get some tips like that.
And then also what you wear is so important at one of these conventions. It's going to be Orlando. It's going to be April. It's not going to be the super sweltering that it was when we were in Orlando in August.
I checked with our Orlando residents, Chris and Sarah Hamilton, and they said during the day it is shorts weather. However, you're going to be inside a building, and if you're not mobile, chances are you're going to freeze. It is always cold in the panel rooms, I've found. The floor gets a little warm.
You are not to be judged on this. Don't trust her. She's cold always. Sometimes the panel rooms are cool, but that may be a welcome relief because sometimes that exhibit floor gets warm. When you are in rooms that are packed with people, each person's bringing about 100 degrees with them. So it depends on how crowded the room is, how crowded the room was beforehand on whether it's warm or not. But yeah, I would suggest layers. Shorts and a t-shirt are probably your best friend for core apparel, but having a lightweight removable jacket, having some jeans available for the evenings.
Yeah, you just need a jacket for the evenings. Ladies, capris are the way to go.
You guys have the luck because then you have shorts and pants all in one. You call them capris and you just wear them all day.
I'm sorry, what about your shants?
Yeah, those are just ugly.
Every guy wears shants.
Yes, but
they're not shorts, they're not pants, they're shants.
Yeah, they're not fashionable, but
you all wear them, so I don't know what's going on.
They have lots of pockets, too. Pockets are your friend at a convention.
It is nice when you have cargo shorts, not gonna lie. The other thing you want to do is take care of yourself. I usually have a little kit that I keep with me with just the basics. I have some sort of pain reliever, Advil, Tylenol, something like that. Excedrin, occasionally. A lot of times those fluorescent lights and the temperature change, hot, cold, is often rough on your head. You get a little bit of a headache. It's also got a little bit of caffeine in it. Not gonna lie, that's a sweet thing. I carry Pepto, I carry Gas-X, that kind of stuff, because you never know what's gonna hit you. You're not gonna be able to find it at the convention usually.
Also in that kit, put a couple Band-Aids. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't want to have like a cut on your thumb and now you have to ask for first aid and do all that whole thing. If you just have something that needs a Band-Aid, having one, or if you get a blister on your foot, having a Band-Aid is really helpful.
And I will tell you that I have cut myself in some really weird situations. Like I pinched my finger in a tripod once and I needed to go ask a security guard for a Band-Aid. So carry Band-Aids.
Breath mints. Carry breath mints.
I do carry breath mints with me. I have some really cool ones that kind of melt. You don't have to chew them. They're kind of like gum, but not gum. I don't even know what they are, but they're great. You don't want to have onion breath when you meet Felicity Jones, right, guys?
And speaking of caffeine and things, let's remember the 5-2-1 rule that should happen at all conventions. At least 5 hours of sleep. At least 2 meals a day. And dang it, at least 1 shower. That is not optional. I'm looking at you because I smell you. You know who you are.
Be kind to your fellow convention goers. If you forget deodorant, as I recall, there's a Walgreens just walking distance from the convention center. Amazon Prime is a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, you had to use that Walgreens because you got a tattoo at the last one and did not think to bring the lotion you need to keep a tattoo moist after you get one.
I did not think to bring it with me. But you know what's funny is I still have that jar of Aquaphor and it's sitting there. I'm like, well, I should just get another tattoo.
And you're going to forget the Aquaphor. We'll be back at Walgreens again.
That is correct, because I love Walgreens. There's one more tip I want to give everybody, and this is, I guess it's kind of 2 tips in one. Make friends. Don't be afraid to talk to anybody. A lot of people are going solo. It's how Andrew, who, you know, does some stuff on our show, and Brian became friends, is they were solo and started talking to each other. And that way, you're never alone. Make friends with people online. Make friends you're talking to. There's a lot of swag going on. Great way to make a friend. And lastly, have fun. That's what you're there for. You spend a lot of money to get there. You're going to make your own experience. Do it with a smile. And don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're really freaking out about something, I'm probably going to be in the social area of the collecting track. The whole convention, I'll probably be in and out, but mostly camped out there because of the video project. Come and talk to me. I'll welcome somebody to come and chat with me. Heck, I'll give you $3 to give me a soda or something, probably.
I think you're shorting them. I think the soda is going to cost $5 or $6.
All right, yes.
And that's another thing. I remember at Celebration Anaheim, you sent me out from the collecting area to go get lunch for the group.
Yeah, I'll never do that again, because those food trucks were stupid.
You were really mad. Like, where are you? Because the cell signal was not very good. Don't count on cell signal. Don't count on free Wi-Fi. You need to try to make sure you text when you can. But yeah, the food truck took my order in 5 minutes. I thought that was great. Then they said, stand over there. Your wait time's 90 minutes after they took my money. So keep that in mind as well when you're trying to plan for things like that.
Something else to think about carrying, depending on what kind of camera you have, you want to carry an extra charged battery or extra batteries, extra memory card, because you're probably going to take a lot of pictures. There's a lot of costumes, that kind of thing.
I'm going to say, depending on what kind of phone you have, consider when you want to take a real camera and when you want to use your phone. If you're going to go to the opening ceremony, you're not going to want to try to use your phone and digital zoom or 2x optical zoom if you have the iPhone 7 Plus and try to get the stage that way. You're going to want a real telephoto optical lens. If you're just going around the exhibit floor, though, and you don't run a collecting site, you probably don't need the DSLR to get some pictures of things. Also, be polite with your cameras. The celebrities do not want every single fan there to become their own personal paparazzi. And yes, on the one hand, it's kind of lame that they have the rule you can't take photos of the celebrities in the autograph area because no selfies because they charge $200 for that photo. Some celebrities will do selfies, but others won't. But you just got to be polite to those people and realize they're not monkeys at a zoo. They're people who are there to be nice and sign something for you and say hello to you. And I don't know, I just feel bad when everybody pulls out their phones whenever they walk everywhere on the floor.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. And keep in mind that these are people. They are just like you and me. The difference is, you know, they work sporadically and get paid a hell of a lot more for it. But, you know, I'm sure while Felicity Jones is eating her breakfast at the Hilton or wherever she's staying, she doesn't want a bunch of people taking photos of her while she's eating her oatmeal.
Mm-hmm. We have seen Stan Lee eat oatmeal.
Yes. You will see them. But leave them alone. You know, don't bother them.
And finally, just some Orlando tips.
There's the iRide trolley, which goes all around International Drive, which at the end of where the convention center is. They have an app, and if you go to their website, which is iridetrolley.com, it tells you where you can download it. It's got maps, and that'll take you all around. There's also going to be a taxi stand out front. I'm a big fan of Uber and Lyft. I use them a lot.
If you haven't used them, get the app set up and set up all your payments ahead of time so you're not trying to do that for the first time at the convention with perhaps clogged bandwidth. Keep in mind, they do have surge pricing on those too, so don't just think that because it cost you $3 to get to the convention, it's going to cost you $3 to get back.
Spoken from people who've paid $75 for a ride before. Oops.
But those really have stopped us from renting cars most times. It used to be whenever we'd go to a convention, especially with what we do, because we carry quite a bit of camera equipment, video equipment, audio equipment, and collectibles. I've always been a fan of renting cars at these events, but last year at San Diego, I realized Uber is a lot cheaper and a lot more convenient. Not just the cost of rental for the car, but the cost of parking the car at the hotel, the cost of parking the car at the convention center. And yeah, I think, speaking of drinking a little, have fun. Come out to our pre-celebration dinner, have fun with friends, make new friends. If you're single, hook up, go for it.
There is speed dating.
Yeah.
If someone does it, I'd really like to interview you about it.
We talked to Fernanda when she did it that time.
Uh-huh.
And I know more than a few people who have found significant others at celebrations. And if you don't want to go to speed dating to be social, again, the collector social area. If you're listening to this, I'm guessing you're a collector and would like to discuss things with like-minded interests. Swag. It's all about the swag, and the social area is where you come to trade the swag.
Definitely. There'll be people there with their swag, people there to trade stuff. All kinds of things will be happening.
Just another convention tip. I've learned that swag has become a new form of currency. Patches are the C notes.
They are. Patches are worth a lot of money.
And then below that are the little items like Amy makes little characters, custom perler things. Below that are pin sets that you have to get the whole pin and you put them on cards and things. At the very bottom of the swag rung is the business card. So come in, trade your swag. I actually think Star Tots are above patches because Star Tots are so limited and so in demand. So they're the now retired by the U.S. Treasury $500 bill of swag.
People will bring past Star Tots to trade from past years, just all kinds of stuff. But definitely check out the schedule. We're going to have it. There's a Facebook group, The Collecting Track. Check it out. A lot of stuff will be posted there. I'll be posting a lot of the stuff. Follow us on social media. Follow The Collecting Track on social media.
And another tip. Set up mobile alerts for the sites you really want information from. The Collecting Track. If you want to get the 6th patch in our patch set, you're probably going to want to be able to know when the Collecting Track Facebook page updates. And Facebook is really terrible about showing you, the Facebook page fans, what is posted on a page, because Facebook wants money. And so when we post something to the Star Wars Action News page, if we don't pay Facebook, approximately 5% of the people who like our page get to see it. And then the more people who like it and comment on it, that number goes up. But what I've read is the average is 10 to 12% of a page fans see that. But if you go to the page, you can say, show me this page's posts first. You can say, give me an alert when there's a post. I usually go to Twitter and turn on mobile notifications when I really want to know something. Like, I have it on for Sideshow 100% of the time. And yeah, every morning at 7 a.m. they post something dumb, but I also know when their pre-orders go live.
Thanks for watching this video. You can see full episodes of Star Wars Action News with more collecting news and reviews at swactionnews.com. We also have thousands of toy and collectible photos in our photo gallery. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. May the pegs be stocked and the Force be with you.